Hey guys, today I'd like to talk to you all about a relatively recent collaborative research paper titled White Matter Tract Connecting Anterior Insula to Nucleus Accumbens Predicts Greater Future Motivation in Adolescents. So some foundational information, we know that previous studies have discovered greater anticipatory activity present in the nucleus accumbens when we make risk-seeking choices. And then on the opposite side of that, there's a greater anticipatory activity in the anterior insula when we make risk avoidant choices. We also know that there's a white matter tract that connects the anterior insula to the nucleus accumbens in both hemispheres in adults, and adults with a stronger tract coherence, which is marked by higher fractional anisotropy scores, are less likely to take risky gambles and make risky decisions. We also know that the period of time marked as adolescence is pretty novel. It is marked by increased reward sensitivity. It's marked by individuals being more likely to try new things, even when they are risky or unsafe. And as a result, there are higher rates of unsafe and dangerous behaviors among teens than any other group. We also know the brain undergoes pretty distinctive periods of growth and change during this time, and that both of the structures that we're going to focus on today, the nucleus accumbens and anterior insula, are yet to be fully developed. So the study aimed at answering a couple questions. Firstly, is there any difference in the anterior insula to nucleus accumbens white matter tract in adolescents as compared to adults? Does the ongoing development of both structures during adolescence play a role in behavioral differences among the age group? And will differences in tract strength among individuals serve as a predictor of which teens may be more or less likely to engage in unsafe behaviors? So they took 91 baseline participants, male and female, mostly female, as well as mostly white, all from the San Francisco Bay Area. They were aged 9 through 13, which correlates with stages 1 through 3 of the self-report Tanner score. Basically just means these individuals have just begun puberty or are starting to see changes in their body. So some functional MRI as well as diffusion MRI data was collected to measure regions of activity and white matter tract strength, respectively. For the functional MRI, participants were given the monetary incentive delay task, instructed to basically complete the task as quickly as possible to earn points. There were 72 trials with 4 incentive conditions. They could either gain, non-gain, loss, or non-loss. Essentially, what was found is that there's a greater tract coherence as marked by higher FA values, which is correlated with decreased activity in the nucleus accumbens when anticipating a non-gain. But what was really interesting is that there is no significant correlation found between the tract coherence and the nucleus accumbens when you make a gain. Also, there is a bundle of white matter that was located that begins in the anterior insula and ends in the nucleus accumbens in both hemispheres of the participants. So adolescents who have a stronger or more coherent white matter tract connecting their anterior insula to the nucleus accumbens show decreased activity in the nucleus accumbens when making a non-gain choice. Also, there was a greater nucleus accumbens activity when anticipating a loss. And this is just very incongruent with findings in older as well as younger demographics. And this lack of congruence may indicate a need for greater context for what the tract's purpose is during adolescence. There may be some behavioral, developmental, or even anatomical context that may be needed to fully understand the tract. What was interesting is that 2 years after the main study, a majority of the participants came back to do some follow-up testing. And this testing indicated that participants with greater tract coherence were less likely to engage in unsafe or risky behaviors 2 years later, and that these participants also showed greater nucleus accumbens activity when predicting gains rather than losses. And this is an indication that while the initial research may not have gone to plan, the tract may yet measure what was initially hypothesized for it to measure. So obviously there's a lot more context and research that needs to be done to clarify the purpose of the tract in adolescence. Some longitudinal studies may aid for replication, may be able to help us understand changes in both of the structures during development. There may be some confounding variables such as neighboring tracts or perhaps some downstream regulation. It would be potentially better if there were limited conditions to just gains versus losses, as well as an increase in diversity may be appreciated as well. But yeah, that's all I have. Thank you guys for listening, and I hope you enjoy.